Welcome to my world, where you will experience an atmosphere of love, relevant subjects, and motivation. So let's talk about things that matter. What matters to you matters to me. Hello everyone. Welcome to the Brother Henry and You Show. I am your host, Henry Harris. Let me first begin by saying thank you for taking this opportunity to watch today's program. I want to come and talk to you about something that's very important, and that is a series that I wrote called The Untold Truth about Relationships. Some may ask me, well, why are you calling it The Untold Truth? Well, as many of you know, something that's untold means that it either hasn't been revealed to you or maybe you're just not aware of it, so that's why I'm telling you. I think many of us at one time or another have had someone to look out for us or to give us some advice in regards to relationships, in regards to marriage, in regards to dating. And I believe that many of us had that attitude, as I had at one time, of, I'll never go through that. I'll never experience that. I'll never have to go through that pain. And ain't it funny that the very thing that I proudly said I'll never go through, I ended up going through it. All because I had an attitude that I would never have to go down that road. Well, I did go down that road. And for me, it wasn't even a untold situation because I was told. But sometimes we take offense to what some people say when in reality they're just trying to help us. And that's exactly what I want to share with you for the next several weeks. I just want to help you. I just want you to just turn the light bulb on in your mind and to think. We're going to talk about so much stuff. We're going to talk about red flags, divorce, marriage, relationships. So many wonderful things we're going to discuss. So I want you to just take it to heart. Today we're going to go into part one. We're going to talk about the process of getting to know someone. How many of you know today that getting to know someone is a process? A process is not something that's permanent. A process is something that is ongoing. It's not something that stops. A process is not something that comes with limitations or restrictions. You don't get to that point in your life, the person that you have interest in, looking at them saying, okay, I fully know you now. Let me stop getting to know you. Doesn't make sense, right? Because you want to get to know as much as possible about that person. Well, that's a friend. Well, that's someone that you're thinking about marrying down the road, a potential date. It is actually okay to get to know someone. The question is, are we doing that? And not only are we doing that, are we doing it effectively? So it is my honor to come to you and share with you about the untold truths about relationships. Relationships in general is a beautiful thing. We are created not only for relationship, but we're also created for fellowship. Humanity as a whole longs for fellowship. We long for companionship. We were created for that. That is not a bad thing. But I guess the beauty of a relationship would be determined by one's perspective of it. What do you mean, Henry? How do you view relationships? How do you view the ideal of getting to know someone? Some of us have had bad relationships, and some of us have had some good relationships. There's always, there's also a beauty that's associated with connections, meaning those who we choose to share life with. This is really an excitement. Do you remember the first time you met her or met him and you got this lovey-dovey feeling, these goosebumps? You always wanted to be around them. You always were inquiring more information. You wanted to know more about them. You get that feeling, right? But I am wondering, are we just as much as excited and enthusiastic about getting to know that person that we have interest in? Do you even have a desire or willingness to get to know them? Here is a very important perspective I want to share with you today. Getting to know someone doesn't come with limitations. There is no expiration date as it relates to getting acquainted with someone. I talked a little bit about that earlier. There's no expiration date. There's no limitation. You don't say, okay, I'm going to stop getting to know you at this point. It's ongoing. It's a process. And if you're going to get to know someone, take it slow. It's a process, because as you unveil more about them and you learn more about them, that will make your relationship more productive. Let's just say you've been with your partner for about 10 years. I promise you, or I guarantee you, that when y'all first started talking, there were some things that you knew about them. And 10 years into that relationship, there are some things that you knew about them that you didn't know when y'all first started talking. So I promise you that over time, progressively, you will begin to learn so much about your partner. Well, that's good qualities or bad qualities. Sometimes getting to know someone and about them, it unveils over time. It doesn't happen overnight. There must be an interest. But here's the important question I want to ask you. What does that even look like to get to know someone? Have you ever asked yourself that question? What does that even look like to get to know someone? Well, number one, communication. And you know what communication means? That means this. You have to talk. So many today, and so many relationships today have failed just on communication alone. There is no talking, there is no reasoning, there is no interest being shown by either party of trying to get to know each other. Number two, ask lots of questions. Now, I want to say this. Don't do it all at once. That can be rather overwhelming. But just take your time. Take it slow. Ask questions, but don't ask so many questions at once, because if you give away too much information, you're not leaving room to learn more about them in the future. Number three, never make assumptions. So many people today, they make assumptions about so many things. There's been times in my past relationships where I've made assumptions about the person I had interest in. Come to find out that my assumptions were wrong. Meaning, sometimes we think we may know something about someone. In reality, we really just don't know. And if you want to attach a label to that, that is called assumptions. Number four, be honest. Be straightforward. Now, some of you don't have to do that because you are that. I know people that are honest, straightforward, blunt. Going to tell it just like it is. We need more people like that in the world today. Number 5, which I believe is very important, make eye contact. Because when you do that, it shows that you have a deep interest in that individual. Can you imagine going to an interview, a brand new job, and your boss is asking you questions and you answer like this? Well, I got a resume and I've done this and I've done that, and these are my past hobbies and past jobs, and this is my weakness and my. You notice I'm not looking at the camera. I'm looking away up. You're distracted. Distraction for some people is a turn off. Because when you're like looking all over the place, unless you have some type of condition, and I sympathize with you if you do, but if you can, try to make as much contact with that person as you can. They say the eyes is a window to the soul, and you never know what you may see just by looking into their eyes. Number 6, don't give away too much information. I kind of talked about that a second ago. Take it slow. Number 7, sometimes it's good to focus on their body language, because sometimes it's not really as much as what they say, but how they react to what you say. Always pay attention to their body language. When you ask a question, just check them out. How do they respond to that? And number 8, be open to diversity. One thing about this world is that we don't look the same. We don't act the same. We're all different. We're different colors, shapes, size. We're all different people. We don't even believe the same. But that's what makes diversity a beautiful thing. So don't expect to go into a relationship with someone, he's going to believe just like me. She's going to believe just like me. They're going to look at it from my way or my perspective. That don't happen. Now that don't mean that you can't come together and have some wiggle room, just come together and find some common ground. That can happen. But be open to diversity. Be open to something new. Be open to something that you're unfamiliar with. Getting to know someone will require you to reveal the real you and not the person that you're portraying. This is a process, as I said earlier, an ongoing process. And take your time getting to know someone and understand you don't have to know everything all at once. You don't have to have all the answers all at once. You owe your true self to someone who may have an interest in knowing you. Also, knowing someone will require you to disown all the unrealistic expectations that you may have of that individual in that relationship. Because sometimes, if we were to be honest, we have filtered what a relationship should look like through reality TV shows, our favorite programs, and we look at that and we say, this is what a relationship is supposed to look like. Well, if you have that mindset going into another relationship, you got to understand that man is nothing like that man on TV. Neither is that woman. Everybody is different. And if you're going in with that mindset, I want a rich man, I want this, I want that, you're setting yourself up for disappointment and ultimately failure, because your expectations were not fulfilled. But there is a way that we can avoid these disappointments by just being fully authentic, not only to yourself, but also those that you are connected with. Getting to know someone is only as hard as what you make it. We can have a productive and a more meaningful and more loving relationships if we adapt to the mindset of getting to know someone on a daily basis. Remember, this is a never-ending process. My encouragement to you right now that are watching is that go beyond the surface layer and find out, who are you dealing with? Who am I connected to? Well, that's in regards to friends, a potential wife, boyfriend, no matter who it is, investigate that person. Explore. Want to have a heart to want to learn about that person. I always use this for an example. I don't know much about science, but if I had an interest in it, first of all, I would have to have a desire within me to say, you know what? I want to learn more about science. What do I have to do? Pick up the textbook, Google some things, call a friend who may know more about science than I do. There are various ways you can take to getting to know something or someone. Well, the same principle applies to a person that you may have interest in. Investigate, dig deeper, go beneath the surface, go beneath the layers, and really find out who you are dealing with. Not the one that you think you're dealing with. Like I said earlier, sometimes we think we know who we're dealing with when we really don't know. So that's very important. Never forget to keep an attitude of knowing that person. And just because you're comfortable doesn't mean you fully know them. Sometimes when we have established a good relationship with someone, we tend to just shut down and say, okay, that's it. And we get comfortable. We have stopped getting to know someone. Our interests in them have stopped. We no longer have that commitment or that desire to get to know them because we're comfortable now. That's dangerous. And that also shuts down the opportunity for you to get to know more about that person if you think that you have it all established and that it's all good now and that there's nothing else to be learned about that person, because it is. I promise you that there is so much more to discover about the person that you have interest in. It's all a matter of looking at it from the perspective of a process, an ongoing process, and having a desire to do that. Here's a quote that I really like. It says, getting to know someone is a beautiful process. It is beautiful, but it's all dependent on how you look at things. Thank you for joining me. Join me next week as we go into part 2 of our series, The Untold Truth, about relationships. Next week we're going to talk about, should we rush into relationships? Woo, I got a lot to say about that. Tune in, we'll talk about it.
Hi, if you like what you're seeing today, be sure to connect with Brother Henry at www.facebook.com/The Brother Henry and You Show. And also be sure to check out and subscribe to his YouTube channel, which is www.youtube.com/Henry Harris 100. We hope that this has been a blessing to you, and we hope to hear from you soon. Keep watching, because what matters to you matters to Brother Henry.